Hi, and welcome to the Benefits of Personal Storytelling class. I am your instructor, Anne Bernard. And in this class, we're going to discuss the personal and societal benefits of becoming a personal storyteller. Okay, so there are for sure amazing and fabulous benefits to becoming a personal storyteller, but the vast majority do not happen overnight. You have to put in the work into mining your past, processing the events and your life experiences into the outline, the personal storytelling framework, and then going out and sharing those stories and getting feedback on them and making more meaningful, like experiencing how your interaction with people and the way that you connect with them changes. So it is through the process that you become very clear in discovering and identifying and understanding who you are. I cannot I can't it's hard to really drive home how powerful it is to know who we are, because how empowering that makes us in everything that we do. And primarily and most definitely in our decision making, and understanding that we have control and we have choices, and they're not out of our control because we know who we are and we know how to drive who we are forward to get whatever it is that you want. And ideally, it starts with a really good mental and emotional state. So, yeah, you the process is all about creating multiple positive, self-reinforcing, rewarding, and beneficial loops. Let's start with the personal benefits. Initially, right up front, you get to have these incredible benefits with your interactions with other people. So once you have a handful of personal stories ready to go that you've outlined, that you've rehearsed, that you receive feedback back on, and you're ready to share them, when you start opening up, being vulnerable, and connecting people, making heart to heart connection, to them, you will become more appealing, interesting, entertaining, inspirational, attractive, engaging, compelling, relatable, and likable. So it will change your relationship. It will change the way that people view you, because it's going to change the way that they understand you. But what you're doing for them by opening up and being vulnerable through your personal stories is that you're letting them know that you trust them. So you start creating this space between you and other people because you're opening up and being vulnerable. It is insanely powerful because it is so hard for people to do. So when you do it, people take notice. And because ultimately your aim is not to still the show or suck up all the air in the room. You're opening up, being vulnerable, and sharing stories because you're looking to make more meaningful connection and go deeper into conversations. So you're going to create spaces between you and other people where they can start opening up and being vulnerable and trusting you. So those are pretty big. Those are pretty big benefits starting out, just because you're going to be prepared to engage at a whole new level with people, because you're going to be armed with you can just start with a handful of personal stories. Now, these next benefit, those are what you're going to continue to build upon, that are going to start becoming more apparent to you over time. So the first one is to raise your self-awareness. So let me go this slide real quick to explain what self-awareness is. So self-awareness is knowing who you are. It's knowing your thoughts, feelings, your emotion, the entirety of your internal state. So to include, if you find yourself having sweaty hands, you understand why. Like, you become very connected with yourself. So you're aware of your internal states and your behavioral states. So your beliefs, your values, what motivates you. You connect instead of being reactive to yourself and to life, you become proactive because you come from a very centered, confident, at peace state. And it might not be because everything is ideal, but it's because you're understanding. You know why you feel, why you think, why you behave, why you react the way that you do. And that's what gives you control over it. It's because you understand it. And then you understand your impact on others and your environment, because the impact that they have on you, you're not just knee-jerk reacting, you're processing and you're choosing how to react. And this is why self-awareness is foundational to having greater emotional intelligence. So now, why do you want to raise your self-awareness? Well, knowing who you are is the foundational layer to everything, to your happiness, your joy, your peace, your life satisfaction, any personal growth or development that you want to do. And absolutely, if you're looking to actually evolve who you are to an entirely new level. So it doesn't matter what you want to achieve, improve, or increase, from self-confidence to emotional intelligence, creativity, leadership, to teamwork, compassion, your overall health and well-being, it all starts with self-awareness. So this is a tremendous benefit that comes from becoming a personal storyteller, which comes from going through the framework of becoming a personal storyteller. It improves your well-being. And this happens because you're connecting with yourself, you're reconnecting with the significant events of your life, your personal achievement, your past relationship, and you come to understand how everything connects together. But it reminds you of who you are and the things that you've done, the things that you've achieved, the ways that you've grown and improved. And it helps you work through unresolved issues, find perspective, because as you're minding your past, as you're reconnecting with your life, you're going to discover what might still be weighing you down and you just don't know. So we covered, I don't know if you took the purposes of personal storytelling, but one of the things that I discuss in the purposes is that you're going to explore your subconscious. And that's where you might discover things that having such an impact on you that you've been completely unaware of. So now this comes to the surface and you're able to process it. So it helps you find perspective, meaning, and really cope more maturely and efficiently with your present, right? So instead of being stressed or having anxiety, or you can, like, the emotional and mental state that we often find ourselves in is because we're absorbing too much and we're not able to process it. And there's so much that is in our subconscious that we don't know about. And all of it is impacting our well-being. And we don't know how to gain control of that. The process of becoming a personal storyteller helps you to do that. It walks you through how to do that. Other ways that it helps your well-being, it certainly helps with your memory because you are going to mind your past. You are going to exercise and engage with reminiscing, with recollecting. And that's really good for your brain because most often, if you're spending countless hours consuming social media, watching TV, and just focusing on day-to-day things, you're not engaging yourself in retrieving memories. This becoming a storyteller, you will absolutely start recollecting, reminiscing, and retrieving memories. The process of making more meaningful connection, being better connected to your friends, to your family, and to a sense of belonging, that's going to release oxytocin. And the release of oxytocin has really amazing health benefits and mental benefits. So it promotes relaxation, it reduces anxiety, and it counteracts the effects of stress, just to name a few things. So that's the oxytocin is it creates bonding with others. So it's a really good hormone to release. And the as you share your stories and you make those deeper connection, you're gonna get that benefit. Another benefit is that it provides us an opportunity to heal from the past because you're gonna understand how your past has shaped who you are, and it leads to finding so there are things that have happened to us that we've never made sense of. And because we never made sense of it, there's certain aspect of what is still happening to us that still doesn't make sense. It just doesn't add up. And oftentimes there can be a variety of pain rooted in that. Well, you're going to address that. You're going to make meaning and understanding of your life experiences, of the encounters that you've had. And that can bring some really wonderful healing. The other way that we heal is by sharing. So when you learn to open up and be vulnerable, and you have the structure that makes you comfortable with being vulnerable through personal storytelling, and you open up, then sharing your difficulty, your pain, your challenges, or even your traumatic experience, things that have caused trauma with other people in a safe and non-judgmental space really can bring healing because you'll be able to let it go. And or at a minimum, let go of the hold that the event has on you. So, because pain and trauma can make us feel isolated and misunderstood, going through the process, joining a community of personal storyteller, and connecting with other people, and everyone choosing to share a story that's about a struggle, about a difficulty, or even a trauma, and opening up that space for each other. And it's so powerful. And having other people that care and are empathetic towards you and show you compassion, again, it's healing. And you learn to start doing that. And you know, odds are, again, this is why it's building block and it's loops. You're not going to step out on the first story you're going to share is going to be one about pain, struggle, adversity, or trauma, but through developing multiple other stories, sharing those, building the rapport and the relationship, getting comfortable, then you can start going further into stories that have greater pain and start processing those. So that's why it's a process. It's not like Again, you're not going to come out of the gate doing that. That is just like if you go to therapy, you're not going to come out and go straight into talking about the most painful thing that you've ever experienced. You build a rapport and the relationship, right, you come to understand the process of therapy, and then you slowly work your way to being more open and vulnerable. The same thing with the process of becoming a personal storyteller, but ideally you get to the point where you can share the stories that are a cause of pain, sorrow, trauma for you, and start healing from those stories. Hands down, this is huge. It for sure is core to making healthier, more meaningful connections. And when the relationships in our lives get stronger and better, and we feel understood, heard, seen, accepted, we have networks that provide us the um, support, encouragement, advice, wisdom, guidance, counsel that we seek, require, need, want, look for, our lives completely change. And most of us do not have these amazing, strong bonds and relationship with other people. And we suffer immensely because of it. And the process of building a healthier relationship, you'll get more empathy, you'll benefit from the oxytocin, you'll create connection that can withstand misunderstanding, conflict. You becoming learning how to communicate as a personal storyteller also opens up the doorway to you understanding how to learn to communicate in other ways, to include through conflict or in situation where conflict arises, because you're learning to communicate who you are, what you want, what you think, what you feel. That is, again, a foundation that most people do not have, that you will learn through the process of becoming a personal storyteller. I already touched on this, right? Receive real, honest, valuable support, encouragement, feedback, and compliments that you can trust. Huge, huge benefits. Live in the present and take control of your life. So what you learn, you're the main character of your story and you're the author of your stories. You come to understand as your brain, as you process the live events into stories, your brain transition to thinking like a personal storyteller, so that you realize in every situation, you're part of a plot, you're in a setting, you're encountering characters, and there's a theme happening and going on. So you become mindful and conscious of what's happening and who it's happening with, and that you, again, you have choices and decision in every moment for you to take. And then maybe your main characters are still a little out of control. The beauty is you have an author that you can develop that can rein you in. And so it's changing your self-talk and evolving the self-talk into actually author development. So, oh yeah, more present, more accountable, and responsible. The process of becoming a personal storyteller and processing your story, you're going to learn about consequences. You're going to see how your decisions had consequences. And that's going to make you aware whether or not, your decision making process is good or not. You'll be aware of who's influencing your decision. So that becomes very critical when day to day you continue to make decisions that are going to impact your future. So I just can't overstate how important discovering and understanding who we are and then communicating that, yeah, these positive self-reinforcing loops that take shape. Archive your life. So this is pretty upfront. This is an opportunity as you're building up your personal story repertoire, you're rehearsing your stories, you're recording your stories to actually archive your life. So for your kids to watch, for future generation, for yourself. So I know that if I ever have Alzheimer or dementia, I'm going to appreciate that I have my life, huge chunk of my life, the events of my life recorded that I- if I forget them, that I'll enjoy listening to help me remember. And you can run a thread through, yeah, we can run a thread through our entire lives with our first time stories and our other stories. So it is beautiful to understand what has shaped and impacted us, the domino effects that have taken place in our lives. And ultimately, that's wisdom. That's you're archiving the wisdom that you have gained through your experiences, through living. Okay, let's switch gear to the societal benefits, which really do build up from the personal benefits. So the first societal benefit is that it equips us to start battling division. So how I, I don't like talking about the fact that we live in a very divisive society, but the truth is we live in a very divisive society. So unless you live under a rock, you are aware of that. It is not hard to create division, to sow division. And and it's actually because we have this tremendous desire to belong. Because when we don't belong, there's a great pain associated to not belonging. So, because we have this desire to belong, certain people abuse that and they create us versus them mindset, narrative, framework. And so it stresses that in order to belong, you need to be this specific way. And if you're not this way, you're wrong. So everybody else is wrong. And again, I don't know if you've taken some of the other classes, but I talk about how people leverage narratives to manipulate and control other people. And so through those narrative of saying, being like this type of person is good, this is not. So it creates a who versus them. And it is very, very easy to create to sow division via us versus them mentality. So having the awareness that people are out there trying to sow division, as a personal storyteller, you're coming out and you understand that we have more in common than what separates us, and we're all connected through the human experience. And you're interested in sharing who you are and learning who other people are from the core of who they are, and to understand that there's not who you are is not wrong. It's who you are. So I might not agree with everything that you've done. I might think you have done something wrong, but I don't think that your who is wrong, unless you're very evil and mean and manipulative and controlling and just, run to the core. But the reality is there's very few people that are in fact run to the core. What you end up realizing is it's a lot more fear, ego, pride, stubbornness that is at play than someone being evil and rotten. Little digression there, sorry. All right, so dehumanization is another thing that is leveraged and used to sow division. And that's the process of perceive or treating individuals or groups as less than human, often stripping them of their unique qualities, rights, and dignity. So instead of seeing, appreciating the who, you're focusing on the what. So it's what the person represent. It's what the person does. And through narratives, if I can get you offended, angry, upset, disgusted by the what, and completely neglect and overlook the who, then I can get you to dehumanize other human beings. Personal storytelling, being a personal storyteller, engaging on focusing on the who over the what prevents that from happening. So it's a powerful built-in armor against division. So by becoming a personal storyteller, you learn unity can exist and thrive amidst differences where individuals or group maintain their unique identities, perspective, and attributes while finding common ground and working together towards a shared goal. So battling division, bringing unity. There's big difference between unity and conformity. So we're not asking people to conform to who we are. We are looking to be able to embrace diversity and the fact that we're all humans. We all do share in the human experience. Come and attend some first-time storytelling networking event where we connect on the same experience. All of our stories are rooted on the same experience. And then you realize we experience so many of the same things. We might experience them differently. Because same experience, different outcome. Same experience, walking away with a different understanding, but same experience. All to say that being a personal storyteller, becoming a personal storyteller, it is about expanding, being more open-minded, and letting go of the need to control others. Because it's hard enough to get control of yourself, your thoughts, feelings, emotions, that you stop worrying about trying to control others. But you also are able to process the control and the influence that others are trying to have over you. Battle loneliness is the next one. So in May of 2023, the Surgeon General of the United States declared an actual health crisis related to loneliness and isolation. So loneliness is feelings of isolation, disconnectedness, and a sense of not belonging or being understood by others. So our society, it's not just the US, this is actually, I'm not going to make the claim it's around the world, but certainly in many of the Western culture, we're in a loneliness crisis because we're forgetting to make heart-to-heart connections, to connect based on the who, to stop worrying about chasing the what and being stressed and anxious and overworked and disconnected and spending too much time with social media, technology, and binge watching shows and not making deep, meaningful human connection. So we're in a loneliness crisis. And being isolated and feeling like we can't belong, again, can create some incredible manipulative leverage because it's a social pain. When we feel rejected or not accepted, we experience real deep pain. So our brains have evolved to prioritize social connection because it's needed for our survival. And it's dangerous. It's dangerous to our health that we're not connecting. So the process of becoming a personal storyteller, you are gonna you're volunteering, you're agreeing to start stepping out there where people are afraid to open up, they're afraid to be vulnerable, and they're afraid to trust. And as a personal storyteller, you're stepping out and you're saying, you know what? I'll do it. I'll be the first to open up, be vulnerable, and trust. And you'll be equipped to do that. And you'll have the emotional maturity and clarity to be able to do that and to be able to process how your audience receives what you have to share. But you'll also be very clear about what you are sharing. So if we can ignite a movement of personal storytelling, then we can really all together come together and battle loneliness. So becoming a personal storyteller and learning to open up, be vulnerable, and actively listen to others will significantly improve your opportunities and ability to make deeper and more meaningful connection. So other people need that, and you need that. I need that. We all need that. All right, so battle stagnation. So what happens when you become stagnant? It's a very dangerous state. So symptoms of stagnation include having fallen to monotonous patterns and routines where each day feel repetitive, predictable, you feel unmotivated, lack enthusiasm, you don't want to pursue new things, and you're stuck, you're trapped. It can absolutely lead to depression and certainly being unfulfilled, dissatisfied, and it being stagnant. If you don't step, if you're not able to get out of it, that compounds and it can get worse and worse. So it's dangerous to become stagnant. So the way that personal storytelling helps you to battle stagnation is that as you're remembering the things that you've done, you might realize the things that you really enjoyed that you've left behind. And as you start sharing the stories of all these great things you used to do, you're going to realize, you know what? I want to add that back into my life. And then there's listening to the stories of other people and how they're stepping out of their comfort zones and the value and the benefits that they got out of it. So that's going to encourage you to do that. And as you share your stories of the great things that you've done, you're going to encourage other people to do that. And perhaps because you're making better connection with each other, you'll connect to go out and try new things. And I'm all for people starting a journey of first time and new experiences. It has such a huge impact on my life. So this becoming a personal storyteller, it's going to take you to places that you probably cannot imagine right now. And that's absolutely my hope and prayer for you, is that it will do that. Okay, so as the author of our lives and storytellers, it's a natural progression to seek to add more engaging stories of adventures to our repertoires. You're going to want new stories to share, which means you need to go have new adventures to have new stories. You're going to, once you start exploring, one of the purposes of becoming a personal storyteller is to be able to influence and persuade other people. You might want to have more stories that are influential in helping people overcoming their fears and their flaws and their shortcomings. You might want more lessons learned stories, right? So you're going to push yourself to do greater things in order to have more stories to share. Alrighty. Okay, so this says see you in the next class. So I don't know in which order you've been taking the classes. If you haven't done the purposes, I recommend doing that. The focus on the who, actually all of the the classes into the introduction series, please go through those classes. And if after you've gone through the classes, you are not raring to go to become a personal storyteller, then this just might not be for you, because I can't imagine, I can't, if this doesn't convince you, then maybe it's just not the right timing. And obviously the school will be here if that changes. However, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, you know what, I really need this in my life, I want to be on this transformative journey, then your next step is to purchase one of the subscriptions and get started with the How to Become a Personal Storyteller course. And that is the core course where you learn all the elements, the components and requirements. And I would recommend the uh, the advanced subscription, so that you can really engage with the live events and connect with the community in the live events and come share your stories. So I talk about in the overview, the next steps is you want to be able to rehearse and get feedback and coaching on your stories, because that really helped out. So that comes part of the advanced subscription. So I hope that I will be seeing you around the school and the live events and in the community. And at a minimum, you'll definitely, if you haven't taken the other classes, you will see me in the next classes. So thank you.